Canva.
We started here.
Python full stack.
சார் நீங்க சைடு வாங்க சார் நீங்க வாங்க
Good evening. Am I audible to everyone? Good evening, everybody. So welcome to this Python full stack development. So what is the aim of Pantech? Yes, I am audible, right? So we are going to help some 10 million students to learn the technology in an easy way. So this is the main aim of Pantech eLearning. So what we are going to see in this next 30 days. So this is what it's going to be our agenda. So what we are going to see in the next 30 days. So we will be covering some topics. So firstly, I will be discussing with you about the fundamentals of Python. So I am going to discuss with you about the basics of Python language. Yes, I am audible, right? Am I audible to everyone? Yes. So firstly, I will be discussing with you about the fundamentals of Python. So what is the use of this language? I will be discussing some basic syntaxes about Python language. And then I will be discussing with you about Django framework. So what is the use of Django framework? I will be discussing with you about some simple examples using Django. And then I will be discussing with you about HTML. So what is the use of HTML? That is hypertext markup language. So I am going to discuss with you about some tags and attributes, how to develop some web pages using HTML. And finally, I will be discussing how to develop some full stack projects using Python and Django. So this is what we are going to see in the next 30 days. So day wise, this is our agenda for the next 30 days. So firstly, I will be discussing with you about the Python programming fundamentals. And then day 2, I will be discussing with you about the tools, syntaxes and data structures. And day 3, so I will be discussing with you about HTML, what are all the different types of tags and attributes, basics of HTML, elements, attributes and headings. And on day 4, I will be discussing with you about paragraphs, styles, formatting, comments. So what do you mean by HTML? So this is what we are going to see in this 30 days full stack masterclass. So and then I will be discussing, so what are the different types of tags and attributes. I will be discussing with you about colors, CSS, links, images. So what is the use of form tag, what are the different types of form attributes, form elements. So I am going to discuss with you about input types. So what are the different input types, input attributes. So this is what we are going to see in this 30 days masterclass. And then I will be discussing with you about Django. So what is the use of this framework? And MVT template. So I am going to discuss with you about model view template. And URL mapping. So I am going to discuss with you about different concepts. So what is the use of middleware, how to upload some files, database connectivity. And then I will be discussing with you about PostgreSQL. So I am going to discuss with you about this database. So what is the use of PostgreSQL? What are the different data types? How to create database, drop database, create table, drop table. And then I will be discussing how to integrate Python with PostgreSQL. So how to create database, create table, insert data. So I am going to discuss how to integrate Python with PostgreSQL. And finally, I will be showing some applications using Python and Django. So what is the use of news aggregator app, weather app, disease prediction, railway reservation system, resume builder, voting system. So this is what we are going to talk about for the next 30 days. So what do you mean by a full stack development? So I can do, so firstly I will be discussing about the front end development. So what is the different types of framework? So I will be discussing, I'll give you a brief introduction to Python language. And then I will be discussing, so what is the use of HTML, how to develop some web pages using hypertext markup language. What are all the different types of tags and attributes available in HTML? And then I will be discussing with you about the Django framework. So what is the use of Django framework and how to connect Python with Django. And finally, I will be discussing some applications of Python and Django. So once you are going to build this 30 days for full stack salaries, you can earn up to 45 to 60 lakhs. Clear with this? So this is going to be the average salary of a full stack Python developer. So firstly, you will be discussing with you about, I will be discussing with you about HTML or cascaded style sheet. So what is the use of hypertext markup language? And then I will be discussing with you about Python language. So what is the use of Python and Django framework? What is the use of Django framework? And I will be discussing with you about PostgreSQL. So how to connect to the database. And finally, I will be discussing how to build some applications using Python and Django. Clear? So with this, I am just going to start my today's first class. So what do you mean by a program? So I am going to give you a brief introduction to Python language, and then I will be discussing with you about different things. So what is the use of Python, and slowly tomorrow I will cover some more important concepts of Python. And then I will be discussing with you about what is the use of HTML and Django framework. So what do you mean by a program? So basically, what do you mean by a program? So a program is nothing but a set of instructions. It is used to perform some specific task. So what do you mean by a program? So firstly, I'm just starting from the beginning. So what do you mean by a program? A program is nothing but a set of instructions. It is used to perform some specific task. So we are going to instruct the computers. So for example, when a human being, he needs to perform some specific task, we are going to give some instructions. Similarly, what do you mean by a program? So a program is nothing but a set of instructions. It is used to perform some specific task. Say for example, whenever I want a computer to perform some specific task, so it is what is called as a program. Clear with this? So what do you mean by a program? For example, you can consider any online website. So you can go for Amazon, Flipkart. Clear with this? So you can imagine, so whenever we are ordering things, you can imagine any website. So what do you mean by a program? So everything, it is now, for example, whenever I am ordering some items, so everything we are going to instruct some computer. So based on the instruction, it is going to perform some specific task. And we have different types of programming languages. Basically, we have two different types of programming languages. One is called as a high-level language and one more is called as a low-level language. So we have two different types of programming languages. One is called as a high-level language and one more is called as a low-level language. So Python, C, C++, Perl, Java, so all this comes under high-level programming languages. And machine language and assembly language, so these two comes under low-level programming languages. So these two are the different types of programming languages. So whenever, Python language, you can imagine it is similar to English language, C, C++, Perl, Java. So all this comes under high-level programming language, and we have two different types of low-level language. One is called as a machine language and one more is called as an assembly language. Clear with this? So what do you mean by a high-level programming language? For example, you can imagine any website. You can consider a banking website, you can consider a restaurant management system, hospital management system. So whatever type of websites I am going to develop, so it is based on high-level programming language. So using Java, you can imagine everything is becoming online. So many online transactions are happening. You can imagine a railway reservation system, hospital management system, counseling management system. Clear with this? So everything comes under high-level programming language. So whatever type of websites you are going to develop, so everything using Java, you can develop any type of websites. And Python language. So predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, all these technologies are growing at a very, very fast rate. So everything is developed using this Python language. So Python is one popularly used language for doing any kind of predictive analytics. So Python, Java, C, C++, Perl, so all this comes under high-level language. And we have two different types of low-level language. One is called as a machine language and one more is called as an assembly language. Clear with this? So these two are the different types of programming languages. And we have two different kinds of programming processes. So one is called as an interpreter and one more is called as a compiler. So these two are the different kinds of programming process. So what do you mean by programming process? For example, whenever I am building some bigger application, so as I was telling you, right, so everything is becoming online, a number of online transactions are happening. For example, you can imagine Amazon, Flipkart and many other websites. Number of online transactions are increasing day by day. So whenever I am going to build some website, so I need some programming process. So we have two different types of kinds of programming process. One is called as an interpreter and one more is called as a compiler. So these two are the different kinds of programming process. What is the role of an interpreter and what is the role of a compiler? So what are the different modules or units that are present in an interpreter? So all these are the different modules or units that are present in an interpreter. So it contains an input module or input unit. It contains an output module. So all these are the different modules or units that are present in an interpreter. So what is the meaning of the name interpreter? So from the name you can just understand. So what is the use of this interpreter? So input, it is going to take a single line of code or instruction at a time. And output, it does not produce any intermediate object code. Clear with this? So all these are the different units that are present in an interpreter. And working mechanism. So what is the working mechanism? So all these are the different units that are present in an interpreter, and compilation and execution takes place simultaneously. And speed of an interpreter is slower when compared to the compiler. And memory, it requires less memory as it does not create intermediate object code. So all these are the different modules that are present in an interpreter. And errors, it displays error of each line one by one. And error detection is easier in interpreter when compared to compilers. So all these are the different units that are present in an interpreter. So what are the different modules or units that are present in an interpreter? So whenever I am writing any program or any kind of web application, so all these are the different units that are present in an interpreter. So it contains an input unit. So it's going to take a single line of code or instruction at a time. And output unit, it does not produce any intermediate object code. And working mechanism, so compilation and execution, they take place simultaneously. So all these are the different things you should remember. So it interprets. So whenever I am developing any program, so it interprets each and every line of code independently. And errors. So it is going to display error of each line one by one, and error detection is easier in interpreter when compared to compiler. And what are all the different units or modules that are present in a compiler? So all these are the different units or modules that are present in a compiler. So in case of compiler, it is going to take an entire program at a time. So instead of taking each and every line, for example, whenever I am writing, you can imagine as I was telling you, right? So whatever, everything is becoming online. So you can imagine Amazon, Flipkart. So or you can imagine any other type of website, e-commerce industry. So online buying and selling, this is growing at a very, very fast rate. So or you can imagine any other website. For example, you can consider a banking management system, railway reservation system. You can consider any other industry. So in case of compiler, it is going to take an entire program at a time, and it generates some intermediate object code. So all these are the major differences between an interpreter and a compiler. So speed of a compiler is comparatively faster when compared to interpreter. And memory requirement is more due to the creation of object code. So all these are the different things you should remember about an interpreter and a compiler. And errors, they display all the errors after compilation all at the same time. Clear with this? So what are the different units that are present in an interpreter and what are the different units that are present in a compiler? So whenever you are going to build any kind of application, so firstly you need to compile the entire program. So you need to check for error. So this is done by the compiler. So it is going to display all errors after compilation, so all at the same time. So when you look at the interpreter, so all these are the different blocks that are present in an interpreter and all these are the different blocks that are present in a compiler. So firstly, I am going to consider the source code. So whenever the source code it is given to the interpreter, so it interprets each and every line of code and I am going to get the corresponding output at the output screen. Clear with this? So all these are the different blocks that are present in an interpreter. So first one is the source code block, and from the source code it is given to the interpreter, and then finally we are going to get the output at the output screen. And when you consider the compiler unit, so I am considering the source code, it is given to the compiler block. So the source code is being converted to the object code. So whatever is the source code I am having, it is converted to the object code. It is given to the executor block and finally I am going to get the output at the output screen. Clear with this? So these two are the different types of programming processes. So basically, firstly I just gave you an introduction to programming language. And these two are the different types of programming processes. So what is the role of an interpreter and what is the role of a compiler? So all these are the different blocks that are present in an interpreter and all these are the different blocks that are present in a compiler. So Python comes under high-level programming language. Basically, I was discussing, so what are the two different types of programming languages? One is called as a high level programming language and one more is called as a low level programming language. So Python comes under high level programming language. So what are the different features of Python? So it is faster to learn and applications can be developed at a faster rate using Python. And it is available for many platforms, platform independent. So it can run on Windows operating system, it can run on Linux, Unix operating system. So it is platform independent. So all these are the important features of going for this Python language, available for many platforms. So they can implement complex logic with only very few lines of code. Clear with this? So what are the important features of this Python language? Faster to learn and applications can be developed at a faster rate using Python. Clear with this? So all these are the different features of going for this. So the syntax is simpler. It is similar to English language and applications can be developed at a faster rate using Python. So next I'm going to discuss with you about the history of Python language. So Guido von Rossum. So who is the person who just developed this language? So Guido von Rossum. So he is the person who developed this language at National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science at Netherlands in the year 1989. Clear with this? So he is the person who invented this Python language. So why we have to go for this programming language? Firstly, I just gave you a brief introduction. So what is the use of Python language? So next I'm going to discuss with you about why we have to go for this programming language. Why one should use Python? What are the different things that can be done using this Python language? Why I have to go for this programming language? So data processing task. So whenever I want to perform some complex data processing, so all these are the different applications. So what makes this language? As I was telling you, right, so I have different types of programming languages. I can go for Java, Perl, Python, and I have different types of low-level languages. So why I have to go for this Python language? So what is the major reason? Data processing. So as I was telling you, right, as the number of online transactions are increasing, a huge amount of data is being generated. So MTP library, so modular toolkit for data processing library is widely used for complex data processing algorithm. So what is the use of this Python language? MTP, modular toolkit for data processing library. So for example, you can consider e-commerce, Amazon, Flipkart, or you can consider some other industry. So whatever type of industry I am going to. For example, you can consider, for example, online banking. So wherever you go, huge volume of transactions are happening and a large amount of data is being generated. For example, I want to analyze, it is used in medical industry. So see the variety of applications that can be done using this Python language. So what makes this language so very powerful? What are the different things that can be developed using this Python language? So all these are the different things that can be developed using this Python language. So it can be used in signal processing tasks, neuroscience data analysis, whenever I want to analyze the brain signals. So this is one important application of going for this Python language. So you can see I am considering the brain signal, I am going to analyze the brain signal and I am going to come up with some important prediction result. What is going to happen in the future? Clear with this? So it is used in signal processing task. And it is used in Pygame, so game making software. So it is popular, it can be applied across a variety of fields. So it can be used in medical sectors, it can be used in game making sectors. So Pygame, game making software, it is one of the powerful Python modules designed for writing games. Clear with this? So it is popular among the adults as well as the younger people. So game making software, Pygame. This is one more important application of Python. And Maya Python, movie creation tool. So this is one more important application of Python. So you can develop, you can imagine any kind of movies. You can imagine humorous movies, adventurous movies, detective movies. Everything can be developed using this Python language. And whenever I want to analyze any kind of musical notation, I want to understand the audio, what is being played, musical notation. So audio analysis. So whatever I want to analyze the quality of music that is being played, or I want to understand the meaning of music, so I can go for this Python language, musical notation, musical analysis. So all these you can imagine what makes this, why I have to go for this Python language. So it is used in musical software. So if I want to analyze the quality of music that is being played, musical notation, audio converters. So if I want to convert the audio that is being played from one format to another format. And Django, it's a very powerful website development framework. It is written in 100% pure Python. Clear with this? So all these are the different applications of Python language. So Django framework, as I was telling you, right? So I am going to discuss about this in my later chapters. So what is the use of this Django framework? So it's a website development framework. It is written in 100% pure Python language. Clear with this? So if you are interested, till this part, whatever I am speaking, everything is clear. If you are interested, you can go to InstaMojo and you can register for Python Full Stack Masterclass Program PFSMC2. This is the coupon code. So once you register for the internship, so the registration fee, so after discount, it will come around 999 rupees. So once you are going to attend this internship, so you will be learning. So what is the use of Python, how to develop, what is the use of Django framework, and how to build some applications using Python and Django. If you are interested, you can go to InstaMojo and you can register for Python Full Stack Masterclass Program, Internship Program PFSMC2. This is the coupon code. So once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Clear with this? So the registration fee will be around 1999 rupees. So after discount, it will come around 999 rupees. So benefits of this internship. So 30 days of live sessions. And you can have all the source codes, downloadable presentations. So everything, you will have access to everything. Clear with this? So what is the use of, so far I just gave you an introduction to Python language and what are all the different applications of Python. So what makes this language so very powerful? So why I can go for Java or some other type of language. So Python, why Python is becoming a very popular language in today's world. So a variety of applications can be developed using this Python language. So it can be used in data processing tasks, it can be used in signal processing tasks. Whenever I want to process any signals, or data processing, whenever I want to analyze some brain signals. And game making software, Maya Python, movie creation tool, so music software. So all these are the different types of applications that can be developed using this Python language. And it is used in website development framework. For example, whenever Python 2 is the legacy, so Python 3 is the present and the future. So it was released in the year 2008. So Python 3 doesn't have enough libraries, so that's why Python 2 is still present. So whenever we want to develop some sort of software, so Python 2 is still present. Clear with this? So it's used in, so all these are the different things that can be developed using this Python language. So I am going to show you the installation procedure. So you can go to Google. So if you want, you can just type Anaconda Navigator. So I am going to use Jupyter Notebook for all my things. So just give Anaconda distribution. And there is an option called download option. So once you are going to click this download button, so Anaconda Navigator, so it will be downloaded and you can just start using them. So once you are going to download Anaconda, you can start using Jupyter Notebook. Just click the download button and you can just double click and you will get up some pop-up boxes. So after installation, once you go here, I am typing Anaconda Navigator. So in this Anaconda Navigator, this is my home screen. So this is how it looks like. So I have this data spell, I have Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook, PowerShell prompts, Spider, Visual Studio Code. So all these are the different options that are present inside my Anaconda Navigator. So I can go for Oracle, so I can go for this data lore. So inside this you have this Jupyter Notebook. So it's a web-based notebook environment. You can edit and run human readable documents. Just click the launch button. Clear with this? So inside this, if I want to open a new notebook, so I am going for this option. So inside this documents, so you can see, so all these are the different options that are present inside my Jupyter notebook. So in this new option, so I have a Python 3 notebook. So it will be opened in a new tab. Clear with the installation procedure? So far, whatever I am discussing, everything is clear. For example, if I want to give some title, you can see here. So this is how I can change the title of my notebook. So I am just renaming this Python Day 1. So all these are the different options that are present in my Jupyter notebook. So I have this file option, I have edit option, view, insert, cell, kernel, widgets. So all these are the different options that are present in my Jupyter notebook. Clear with this? So how to use this, and you can install Python idle as well. So just now I told you how to install Anaconda Navigator. So you can use Python idle. So if you want to write any type of coding, so you can use Python idle as well. So just click this option, Python idle download for Windows. So inside this, so I am having this download Python. So here you can just see here. So I have this download Python. So whatever is the version, so I am going to download the latest version of Python, so and I can just start using them. Clear with this? So I am just giving you a brief introduction to Python. So you can see here. So there are two ways to use this. One is the interactive mode and one more is the script mode. So whenever I am going to type something, so what is the use of Jupyter Notebook? So it's like a command line. So machine learning, artificial intelligence. So what do you mean by machine learning? So predictive analytics. So based on the past, what is going to happen in the future? So Python is one popularly used language for doing any kind of predictive analytics. So inside this print, so whenever I'm typing something, so welcome to Python, so this will be whatever I'm typing, so this will be developed. So it will just come as an output outside my code cell. Clear with this? For example, I'm just seeing here, welcome to Python. So whenever I'm typing something inside my code cell, so I'm going to get the output just below the input. So this is what is called as an interactive mode programming. So what do you mean by this interactive mode programming? So inside this print, so within double quotes, whenever I'm going to type in something, I'm typing here welcome to Python, or I'm typing, so whatever I'm typing here, welcome to Python full stack, masterclass. So whenever I'm going to type something inside my code cell, so I'm going to get the output just below my input. Clear with this? So what is the use of this Python full stack? So what are the different things? So this is called as interactive mode programming. So from the name you can just understand. What do you mean by interactive mode programming? Whenever I am going to type in something inside my code cell, I am going to get the output just below the input. For example, if I want to multiply two numbers, so I am just multiplying 4 into 8. So I am going to get the output just below the input. So as many times, for example, if I want to perform some addition of two numbers, say for example, B equal to, I am saying something, 22. And C equal to, for example, I am adding A and B. And I am going to print this at the output. Clear with this? So firstly, I am just initializing A with the value of 10. And I am initializing B with the value of 22. So and then I am adding A and B. For example, 22 plus 10. So whenever I am going to add A and B, so I am going to get the output just below the input. Clear with this? So what is the use of this interactive mode? So you can imagine just whatever I am typing. So I am giving some simple examples. Similarly, whatever type of arithmetics I want to perform. So you can imagine an employee website. For example, if I want to divide two numbers, whatever type of arithmetics, I'm going to discuss with you about operators in detail. So I'm just giving you some simple examples. Clear with this? So I am just saying num1 divided by num2. So this is my number 1 and this is my number 2. So whenever I want to perform some division, so whatever type of operations I want to perform, you can see here. So num1, it is initialized with the value of 10. And num2, it is initialized with the value of 2. And num3, this is initialized. So I am just dividing num1 by num2. And I am going to get the output just below the input. Clear with this? With this, I am just stopping today. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me. If you are interested, you can go to InstaMojo and you can register for Python Full Stack Masterclass program PFSMC2. This is the coupon code. So the registration fee comes around 1999 rupees. So after discount, it is going to come around 999 rupees. So once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. So once you attend this masterclass for 30 days, so you are going to gain what is the use of Python and what do you mean by HTML, hypertext markup language, what is the use of Django framework, and what do you mean by PostgreSQL, how to connect Python with PostgreSQL. And finally, you will be learning how to develop some websites using Python and Django. Yes, I will share the PPTs. Any doubts? So by default, output comes as float. Yes, I will share the PPTs. Other than that, any more doubts? Yes, you can use PyCharm as well. Any more doubts? Interpreter, so it is going to interpret each and every line of code. So whenever I am writing, so it is going to check for errors. So it is going to check for runtime errors. That is the role of an interpreter. So compiler, it is going to take the entire program at a time, whereas an interpreter, it is going to interpret each and every line of code. Python is a programming language. Alright then. Remaining things we will see tomorrow. Same time, same link. Thank you all.